Hello everyone, I'm Zac Goldstein. I'm here with Gene Kingsbury today, and we're just going to be talking a little bit about the farm and the operation you got going on here. So, would you like to start us off? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a fifth generation farmer, and my family's been on the farm since 1907. So it was purchased that year by my great great grandparents, who I didn't know, but I was really lucky to be able to work with my. And a lot of people can't say this, but I worked with my great grandfather.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, who was. I had him here until I was 14, so he taught me a lot about growing fruit.
Yeah, that's one of the questions we were getting into. We can get into now is like what kind of traditions and like values did generations pass down?
Well, it's funny. I mean, it's very special to be farming here in the Ag Reserve, but back then, I mean, the it's kind of hard to keep a family farm going for that many generations.
For sure.
Because you have different people in the family with varied interests, and some aren't really interested in keeping farming, but some people are. I've been fortunate that my family wanted to keep doing this, and so here I am as a fifth generation. We're still at it, more than about 120 years out. So
nice.
We've been at it for a while. I actually had a separate career at the Federal Aviation Administration, where when my dad was running the dairy farm, I kept the peach orchard going on the side and did the federal aviation job. That's my main career.
Okay, so we kind of touched on how 7 hours a day for dairy farming. So like how many people do you have working here? Who do you?
Well, it varies a lot depending if you're in harvest mode or in the maintenance mode. So just to get, I mean, the cycle for growing fruit, we're at the end of our harvest cycle right now, and so Thanksgiving we're pretty much finished that part. We have a little bit of a respite, and then we start in again around the second week of December pruning, and that's how the whole cycle starts again. I've got about 7,000 trees here, so it's about 50, close to 60 acres of fruit trees.
Wow.
And every single one of those trees has to be pruned by hand. And it's basically 3 of us do most of that.
Okay.
I usually get some extra help in, some extra actual fruit workers in late February and March to help me finish the peaches pruning. And then we go on to getting everything fertilized, ready for the spring, and then you have your bloom.
So one of my questions, which we kind of touched on already, was like, how are you evolving and kind of stay?
Oh, that's a great question because I mean we talked about this a little bit with regard to the Ag Reserve. The only way, and you're right, the only way the Ag Reserve is going to sustain itself is if people can come here and find profitable things to do.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of types of farming that just aren't profitable, especially with climate change. I mean, climate change is making a real difference. I feel like I found a pretty good niche. And our main market is, I mean, we basically have an Asian market here for selling fruit. I'd say 90% of our business is Asian, and we've kind of gone that way with a lot of white peaches, which are popular. They're a little sweeter than the others, and they also like just pure sweet apples. We don't do hardly any tart apples here anymore. We focus on sweet varieties. So we're trying to, keep connected with the types of fruit that the Asian clientele.
So you're kind of evolving like with them, like what they are interested in.
And that's been a major evolution for us because we used to be very different. 20 years ago, it was a very different type of operation, but we've seen that market develop and we've gone after it.
Wow.
And
that's impressive.
It's working well for us. But we do well. Like we're the only ones around doing a lot of Asian pears, and that's gotten to be an important market for us. They're a lot of work. A little heavier on the maintenance side than other trees, but it's worth it. You just have to find those varieties that are profitable for you. Because here's an example: like if I've got more than 3,000 apple trees here. If my apples were things like Red Delicious, Golden Delicious, Stamen, and stuff, I would go broke. Because you can only take them for juice.
Yeah.
And you can't meet your bottom line selling juice apples. So people don't want those anymore because you get them out of the store and they're real mealy and they want all these newer varieties. So you have to be willing to make those choices. Like it was really a difficult decision for me. This block behind us here to bring a bulldozer in and push out these perfectly healthy trees to put these in. But you have to keep changing with the market trends.
So you kind of brought it up with climate change. How has that impacted the work that you've been doing?
Yeah, it's this past season was actually pretty good for us.
Okay.
One of The biggest problems we face as fruit growers are hailstorms and freeze damage.
Mm-hmm.
The previous 4 years, consecutive years, were really bad for spring frost damage, and I attribute most of that. I mean, we could have had it any time in the past too, but 4 years in a row is really crazy. I have to attribute that mostly to climate change, and the fact that we were getting these warm Januaries and Februaries were just pushing the buds out ahead of when they should have been coming out, and then invariably you're going to get cold snaps, climate change or no climate change, in late March and April. And all you have to do is go down in the upper 20s and you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So we like to bloom like the first or second week of April. A couple years there, one year we bloomed right around mid-March, and we never had a chance. So we went 4 years in a row without apricots.
Oh, wow.
We went 3 years in a row without sweet plums, and that's hard
Yeah.
to lose entire parts of your crop.
So you've been able to stay afloat even with these frosts and the
Yeah.
on the count
Yeah.
unreliable weather.
Yeah.
You're so diverse in what you grow. You've been able to stay afloat.
So the other thing, I've been doing this my whole life, so I can see that, especially on peach varieties. When I was your age, peaches, within a 4-day window in the summertime, you could count on that variety coming in. They stay in for about 8 to 10 days, each variety, and then you go into the next variety. That's changed now, and everything has moved forward on the calendar. Okay. So we're seeing peaches ripen a lot earlier. So the season's changing. At the same time, we can grow some varieties we couldn't grow before because our season's extended.
Yeah.
Like some years ago, I planted this new late peach out of Rutgers called Victoria.
Okay.
And the nursery warned me. They said, you're probably about as far north as you want to try to grow this peach. Anymore, no problem. I mean, we could have grown a peach that ripened 2 weeks after Victoria.
Yeah.
The way the season's extended, because it just stays hotter.
So there's lots of negatives, but then that's kind of a positive.
There's
almost.
a few positives too, because we can extend our season a little bit for peaches and grow some varieties that are growing like further south. We can do a few more California varieties that we used to be unable to grow because our season was too short.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because you hear climate change.
Yeah.
There's obviously the negatives, but then you kind of get some extended seasons and you can work with those.
There's many more negatives than positives.
Oh, of course, yeah, for sure.
The other negative is really getting hot out there in the summertime.
Yeah.
Because it really feels like we're becoming the new Georgia.
Mm-hmm. I mean, oh yeah, those summers are deadly.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
And it's hard work out there, picking peaches and stuff. There's only because you have to do it by hand. There's no other way to do it.
Yeah.
But climate change, everybody should be concerned about climate change and do what they can.
Yeah.
So, and there are things that we're doing on the environmental side. I mean, one great thing. I mean, I'm sure you guys never even think about this, but they're starting to come out with cleaner and cleaner emissions on tractors.
Oh, okay.
Because you put a lot of hours on tractors here. My last tractor requires DEF fluid like the new trucks do.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you start a diesel tractor, there's a little burst of black smoke that always comes out when you start, and you see smoke coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm very impressed with they're very clean.
Cut that out.
Yeah, so there's changes that are coming that doing those types of things really help.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to do whatever we can to cut back on the use of pesticides.